Okay, welcome to the show. We are going to be talking about today how to pick the best estate agent. I probably think we're going to be biased here. However, if you're going to be selling, or you're looking to sell, or you're thinking about selling, or you're maybe planning for the future, and you need an estate agent to help you along that journey, then now's the time probably to reach out, I would say. So this is all about how to pick the best estate agent, how to cut through all the sales pitch. I'll be honest, and you know this, Perry, I can't be bothered with faff. It's just I just don't do faff at all. It's just
No,
like get to the
cut to the
point,
chase.
tell me what you're doing, what are you delivering, what's your price, all the rest of it, done and dusted. We're finished in 10 minutes. Job done. It's interesting because I talk a lot in here,
I was going to say
and
this would be a quick show
when
then.
anybody else does it, it's like, no, get to the point. So it really is how to find your perfect match. I mean, one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make in selling your home is actually really choosing the right estate agent. They should be a trusted advisor, by the way, and an expert negotiator. That is key here and fundamental in this type of market, or any type of market at all. They have to be a really good negotiator. I'll be honest, anybody could put it on Rightmove, anybody could put it on Zoopla, anybody could put it on a website, but how do they do everything else? Are they a creative thinker? Are they a marketing guru? Digital marketing, especially. These are some of the many skills, really, a trusted estate agent could actually needs to fill with your confidence. But make your move as smooth as possible as well, I think, is the most important thing. So with various estate agents chasing your business, how do you pick the best one for you? Well, you're just in the right place for this, because our handy guide, what we're going to talk about, and here's some of the headlines that we're going to talk about, is the market mastery. You know, how to look at the market and how to analyze it, how to understand it for yourself. Now, with some estate agents walk in the door and see you, once you've gone over all this, you maybe be a bit more ahead of everything than they are. Let me just say that. How do they deal? What's their reputations? What's their reviews? And what's the results? Are they magic or just mediocre in marketing? Do they keep you in the loop all the time? And also, what is the simple or the scary small print you've got to watch out for? The best estate agents do more than just put a sign in your garden, as I said before, and then just wait for things that, oh, come on, somebody inquire. Is the phone ringing? Can somebody test the phone? Because there's nobody calling about this property. That's a familiar story. So, how do you do that? How do you find that person? The person that's going to get you through that time. They're going to be trying to get you through a stress-free journey as possible in the most relaxed environment, while delivering probably the best possible sale and the result at the end as well, when it comes down to it. And do they hold your hand until you actually move? And here's how to find your perfect match overall. Perry, let's talk about the market mastery. You know, what is this? What does this entail?
I think that's the thing. Is it mastery or is it mystery? Depends what agent you've got coming out, I guess. But for me, the best agents know their patch inside out, and I think that's really important. They know it from the market dynamics, what the buyer demographic looks like, what homes are selling, which homes are stuck, how quickly are you selling them, how quickly are the agents turning the properties over. And this is something that your agents, whoever you've got coming out, should be able to demonstrate to you and show how they differ, I guess, from other agents. But along with that, a thorough insight into the best of local life can ignite extra excitement as well and turn hesitant viewers into committed buyers. And I think that's a key thing as well. And your agent can only do that if they really understand what the locality is like. So ask each agent how they approach things. I think that's really important. We talk about stories, and one of the stories I had when I did a viewing with someone once is they didn't really know the area. They were coming from Edinburgh. They were looking at a property towards London Links, and they were into golf. They were into walking on the beaches. So what I basically did after the viewing was they followed me in my car, and I took them to Letham Glen. I took them to Leven Beach. I showed them where London Links Golf Club was. So actually, suddenly, then it's not just about a house. It's about the environment. It's about the lifestyle. It's about everything else that comes with that. So I think your agent really needs to understand those things about your demographics. So that's one thing. But actually, the nitty-gritty part as well is accurate pricing. That's a big thing, isn't it? Making sure that that price is right. So it's vital to avoid your home being over or underpriced. So when your agent comes out, make sure you get that evidence from them. You know, I hear some stories where, you know, I've gone out to see a client and maybe other agents have been before or coming out. Yeah,
How did you get that
exactly.
valuation?
Oh, hang on.
I just plucked it out of the air. I've heard that before. For
Yeah,
some
I
people,
have.
you know, I've actually the story I remember is it's another agency, and the guy went, I couldn't believe the person that was in before you. They just laid back, put their hands behind their back when they asked about the valuations, and laid back on their couch, right, almost horizontal, and said, "Well, I think your house is probably worth about 180,000." And I thought, was that the point that you actually kicked him out then? And they just went, oh, honestly, we had to hold ourselves back because his whole demeanour was almost right. It was extremely rude.
Yeah,
But I
absolutely.
could remember that story vividly. But literally, it was pluck a figure out of the air
Yeah.
with no comparables or
Mhm.
no thought process about what sold where and similar to this property you're sitting in just now. So it's a great point.
It is, and it's really important actually for you as a potential seller to really understand that, so that you know that that agent understands what they're doing in regards to your price point. And I often, when I'm out at market appraisals, if agents have been out beforehand or you're asking what the client's expectation of the property value is, they'll say, well, so and so's told me it's worth 200, and I say, okay, well, did they show you how they achieved 200? What did they demonstrate to you? Well, nothing. They just told me it was 200.
Okay.
So where do you get that confidence?
And you're sitting with something which actually clearly says 150,000. And it's like, where did that 200,000 come from?
Yeah. Or actually even 250,000 is, as we said earlier, it's about
That's
this
another
overall.
one, eh?
Yeah, it's about the
I've
over or
seen that
under
before as
pricing.
well, where somebody's actually undervalued and they've no realised. And it's predominantly because they're not from the area that they're valuing in.
Yeah.
They're from a completely different area. It probably has a different. And here's a classic example. Somebody from a lower value area comes into St Andrews and then tries to value the property over there, and then suddenly finds out that it's no the same comparable. It's no the same amount.
Hmm.
But
Exactly.
they
So I
don't
think
know
that's
that
really,
until they walk out the door,
yeah.
because then I show all the comparables, and then the person goes, yeah, that makes absolute sense. But
Hmm.
how did that other person? And then that's when they begin to doubt themselves and they think to themselves, maybe I should get someone else to come out,
Hmm.
because you're saying 50,000 difference. And I'm saying,
Yeah.
but I've checked with the surveyor, and the surveyor's been in your house previously when you bought it.
Hmm.
And that's when it becomes a fundamental difference overall,
It
I would
does
say.
do. It does do, but it's not just about the fact of not knowing the number, but actually it can make a massive decision to what that seller potentially is going to do. So if it's
Yeah.
undervalued, they may have already bought a property, they may be relocating, and so they're working on a number that they believe the property is worth, and it could really scupper their whole plans, and then the confidence is lost, isn't it? So,
Hmm.
you know, under and over is really important. So again, make sure that you get that evidence from them. They should be selling similar homes in the area. And even if they're not similar homes, you know, are they talking to you about the square meter of the properties? Are they talking about conditions? Are they showing you properties that have sold and what those prices look like? So again, important to understand that.
That's
Um,
quite a good one when you talk about square meters,
mhm,
and square feet. It's something I've never really taken stock of before, but when it comes to unique properties, especially when you look at East Neuk and you
mhm,
look at some of the older styles in St Andrews
yeah.
and these historic places, then it's difficult to actually find a comparable that is actually the same, similar to the property
Mhm,
you're actually just about to value.
mhm,
So it's another benchmark, I would say, as to gauge where the price point is, based on pounds per square foot or pounds per square
yeah.
meter.
Mhm,
And that's what surveyors use quite a lot. And we had it recently, Craig, didn't we? Where one of the surveyors and one of the newer developments, believe it or not, because this house that we're going to was completely different in design, but he knew the square footage, the price per square foot in comparison, and he was able to come in round about the same figure as we were. So
mhm,
it was just another place. I mean, you can get it from square footage, you can get it from comparables that have sold previously. You can get it from probably just similar to ones that are on the market right now,
mhm.
because obviously a surveyor's been out to that, and that's probably why it's at that price point. And then you get it. You can get it from indexation as well. In other words, what did you buy the property for? What have you done to it since then? It would be capital improvements
Mhm.
to get that figure, and then index that up. And then that, if these 4 points actually all marry to, they're similar to each other, then the valuation is dead on that point, and the
Yeah.
home report's going to come in at that point as well, because there's no arguing. You've got 4 different ways of evidence, and clearly that is an exact valuation of the property. So I think you're right. It's absolutely getting that accurate pricing. But the accurate pricing also comes into things like marketing as well. It's like the boom period is probably well and truly gone right now, and trying to reach for the stars and catching the moon way down is not a strategy that should be employed anymore, especially when you're putting your house on the market. It should really be attracting a buyer in the door by possibly putting an attractive price point and then possibly pushing them back up. Because most buyers, when they see the home report, they'll go, well, that's obviously the price they're looking for. And then you can get a bit more out of them.
Exactly. But I think that's right. And I think, that's kind of point 1 in this market mastery. And I think from then once you've made your choice and you've made your decisions, it's then about understanding as well, how are they effectively going to carry out the viewings? Because that's really important to you as well. Are they actually going to be putting people through the door that are in a position to buy your house, or are they just coming for a wee look because they're maybe one of your neighbours, or they're in the area and they've always thought it looked a nice house? So it's really important to get your agent to explain how they will do the viewings. How are they going to show your home to the buyers? Do they customise the buyers in regards to the selling points that are in your area? So again, goes back to what we said earlier. Do they understand what's the surrounding? Where's the local school? What is it graded at? What's the high schools like? Are there parks close by? Are they understanding what the buyer's looking for in regards to the life that they want to have in that house? And I think that's really important.
It comes down to lifestyle. It comes down to lifestyle, really, what people are looking for. Nobody really buys it because they know it's a 3-bedroom before they even come in the door, because they've actually just seen it online. So that's why they're attracted to it, because it's a 3-bedroom, or it's a 2 public, or it's a detached, or a semi-detached, or a terraced, and it suits their budget as well. What you really want to confirm out of that is, what am I going to get out of it? What is it going to be to me? Am I going to enjoy living there? Because I'm going to be there for quite a long time, possibly. So I better make sure the area is the area I want to stay in. And if you could do all that groundwork well in advance to attract the right buyer in the door, because sometimes somebody will just take a drive round, they'll not tell anybody about it at all, and then they'll just ignore it completely and they'll just move on. And you'll never know that person's looked at your property or inquired about your property, because that's the mystery shopper. It happens. They just drive around to have a look at the area, and if their first impression puts them off, that's why curb appeal is so important. Then they're done. They're out. They're away to another property. You'll never see them again, and you'll never have heard from them in the first place. So it's important to actually attract them in the beginning by doing video walkthrough and doing talk-ups about the area.
Yeah, absolutely. But also that effective viewing comes into play with regards to knowing the buyers that are registered with us as well, because a buyer sometimes think they know what they want and actually won't consider a potential property because, as you say, they're just looking at pictures. They don't know what the wider view of it is. So it's about educating them on that wider view and saying, actually, I know this isn't quite ideally what you said you're looking for, but maybe it's this, and this is why. And I think that's really important. Targeting your buyers, quiz them of the type of person that are buying their house. How many potential buyers have we currently got on our books at the moment that may be looking in that area? How do we keep attracting more? So what is it we're proactively going to be doing to get the correct foot traffic for them? So, what does that entail? What systems and processes do we have in place to capture that buyer? And that's really important for them as well. But it's important as well for the seller that they're not just getting potential buyers coming through the door that are not in a position to proceed as well. Because if they're not in a position to proceed, you're wasting everyone's time. You're getting seller excited, thinking they've got their buyer and they can move on to their next dream. But actually, the reality is that person was never in a position to offer in the first place. So again, it's really understanding all of that surroundings with a potential buyer, isn't it? So in a nutshell, every estate agent who you ask to value your home should provide accurate data around their advice. They should give you a clear strategy as well in regards to how they are going to work with you and for you, and how they're going to get you sold.
Yeah, definitely. So then that takes us on to the next steps then about reputation, reviews and results. Craig, what's your thoughts on reputation, reviews and results? How important is that to somebody that's going to pick an estate agent?
Yeah, absolutely crucial. But some great points there from Perry. But put your agent under pressure. Make sure they're backing up how they're pricing your property. So some great points there. But as you said, reputation absolutely crucial, as well as reviews, results. So every agent you meet will be keen to win your business overall. You want to be sure that their actions are and success match their words. Make sure they're able to back it up. So it's time for a little dig into their track record. Always look at
That's like when you see the body language and somebody goes, "Yeah, we're absolutely brilliant."
Not a great
No,
start.
I'm
They're
not
like, "Wait a
doing that.
minute, wait a minute, there's something going wrong here. We're absolutely brilliant." They're saying it's like that. You're just telling yourself you know, and I have seen some people actually do that.
So how can somebody back up a reputation? What points can we do? So sold signs, the first one that we can start with. Go for a stroll and see which agents are active in your neighbourhood. Which agents are getting boards, but not just boards up in front of properties, but sold boards. Make sure they're getting the results. A high success rate means they know how to value your home and market homes just like yours as well. So that's a great way to kind of start.
I think you're absolutely right when it comes to the sold signs. My qualification to that is beware. Sometimes the smaller estate agents are the best estate agents, so you should proportionally work that out. In other words, how many do you actually sell in comparison to what you list percentage wise? Because then that gives a really good benchmark. Because then you could end up bumping into somebody that's a volume agent and just busts them through as quick as possible with no, and just on that one KPI, key indicator, you could end up making a decision to the fact that, oh, I'll choose them, and yet that could possibly be the agent. It might actually get the least price over the home report, the least value over the home report. So then that would bring me then to the point about the selling statistics. How important is that then? Because you should maybe marry that in, shouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. And I think a great point there. Are you an agent or are you a board mover? And I think this is a great way to kind of to check or to back that up. So selling statistics. Ask about the average time to sell a home. A crucial one that we always say at market appraisals. Ask how their average time to sell a home and how many price reductions have been done before actually getting a sale. How close can they get to the asking price? Where and about the home report are they achieving? Are all great indicators of performance and the marketing strategy of that agent themselves. So it's a great indicator to match up with the sold signs to gauge whether your agent is working in your best interest and is the right agent for you. As well as
Customer
that,
recommendations, is that really important? Is that the be all and end all, or what do you think?
your reputation is what precedes you. It's the most important thing. Word of mouth, grapevine gossip, as it's also known, from reviews, friends, family, neighbors, Google, Facebook, the ESTAs, a big one for us, the ESTAs as well. If people are singing your agent's praises, you're probably in good hands. If they've had good words to say about that agent, it's probably somebody that you can put your trust in to have your best interest and your property's best interest at your kind of at their disposal, if you will. So when you add all of these factors together, they provide a reliably solid indicator of an agent's overall performance and whether you're likely to see a sold sign sooner rather than later.
This is where, again, a wee bit of qualification on this grapevine gossip. It's easy for somebody to go to Facebook, isn't it? And on your local community pages and ask for a recommendation. But when you go for that and you do that as a potential seller, then what you should do is anybody got a recommendation for an estate agent that they've actually used, rather than just an estate agent. Because then there's people out there that just genuinely want to help, and it's nice of them, but they have no prior knowledge or experience or dealings with that person, whoever that was. The same applies to contractors as well. And then they suddenly come up and say, "This person's brilliant." Now you maybe have the unfortunate bad luck of actually picking that person, and then the reason it all goes pear shaped, and then you go back to them and think, "Well, what happened?" It's like, "Well, I never used them. I just thought you needed to know someone."
Yeah, opinion versus
happen.
actual experience. Yeah,
Exactly.
opinion is very difficult to compare to experience, isn't it?
Google reviews are really good, I would say. The Esther's reviews we get obviously are independent as well, just like Google reviews, and I think we're sitting at 296 over the last 5 years, and we've got a customer rating of about 99.1%, which is good about over the last 5 years. So we must be doing something right. But again, as I said, Sometimes the smaller bespoke agents are the best agents because they can give you some attention and time, which some volume agents just can't give you. So I think it all depends on if you want a volume agent, if you just want somebody to just bust it through and do cheapest chips and get the job done, because in your opinion, the house will sell for the same price with any agent. That's not the case, by the way. And I know that because I do all the statistics. I watch everybody else. We've got access to all the Rightmove statistics with all the other agents as well. And we know that for a fact that we are the highest over the home report and the highest over the asking price of all the agents. And yet we're a smaller agent in comparison to them because we do bespoke. So magic or mediocre marketing, how important is the marketing? Is it fantastic? Does it have to be outstanding, Sophie? Your marketing, or just stick it on the websites and see how you get on?
No, that's not going to work. We need to, just as much as we spoke about pricing.
Well, why would it not work?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Jim. I'm going to tell you. So we spoke about pricing and obviously getting the pricing right, but to find your perfect buyer, it is all about the presentation as well. As we say, you've got about 3 seconds to make a great first impression. So it's all about that curb appeal. So not only does your property need to be presented perfectly, but your estate agent as well, when they're showcasing the property, whether it be online when they're presenting it online, but also when you're actually at the viewings, you have a very small amount of time to actually capture that buyer. And it is all about, first impressions, starting with your photographs. They need to be fabulous. We don't want dull, shadowed, cluttered, crowded, dark. That's just not going to work because a picture speaks 1,000 words. Bearing in mind, these do work well with our personal property tours and our video tours. So it is obviously layering onto that, but fabulous photos are a key.
Potentially, if your photos are a bit dull, it could cost you tens of thousands of pounds.
Absolutely.
And I don't think actually people realise that because the person who probably could have bought your property, it was the highest bidder, is the person that will never click on your property because of the photographs. It was never inviting for them in the first place, so they never clicked through to see more. They just ignored it as a result. So it could cost you a lot, potentially, without you even knowing it.
And when we say photographs as well, we mean a mix of them. So we want close up, we want wide angle, we want to show it from different angles, but it's also not just about the internals of the property. Where's the property positioned? So do we actually want to get aerial photography? Do we want to show the surrounding area, especially if it's kind of nestled between fields and countryside? I was looking at a listing recently, and beautiful location. Not that you would know because you can't see any of it in any of the photographs. Not a thing. And it makes such a difference. So it's all about those first impressions, and it all starts with your photography.
So there's only a certain amount of photographs you can get then. So how important is video then, and video talk-ups in that? Is possibly the thing it should lead for someone, and then the photographs should maybe be the secondary aspect. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, if you go onto our website, obviously our website, when you click on a property, the lead in is the video. It's the video walkthrough, followed obviously by the photographs. And we've obviously done that because that is right there. They're getting to see the property in its full, a complete walkthrough, highlighting the attention to detail. You get to see the space. But also with our video works, we talk through and we actually tell people, is there potential to develop? What does that look like? Where could they actually be doing that with the configuration? Is it actually a flexible space that could be utilized for working from home, study? Could that be a dining room rather than a bedroom? We talk people through that because you can't see that in photographs. And then obviously by the end of the walkthrough, we then discuss the location and the lifestyle of the property as well. So that absolutely, and that's why on the website, on our website, that's our lead in, is the personal property tour for that exact reason, then followed by obviously the photography.
So then photography, videos, things like that. So is staging and styling important in this aspect?
Oh, absolutely. And that comes both externally and internally. First off, obviously, first impressions when you get outside the property, but then actually heading inside. Not only does it need to be great for the cameras, that's great that it looks perfect for your personal property tour and your photography, but it needs to be the exact same for when you do get people through the door. And of course, your agent will give you tips on that, shove that in a cupboard, hide that away, no, get that away, no, move that, fluff the cushions. I mean, we'll have all done it where we've gone in and started fluffing cushions and moved things and hidden that in that cupboard, and it's just
Tell me
part and
about
parcel.
it. Some of the
Yes.
things I can't even mention that I've had to get rid of on this show. You wouldn't want to know.
No, not that kind of
Bedroom
show.
toys.
It's not that kind of show. No. So yeah, staging and styling is absolutely crucial, especially as well if you don't know if the viewer is actually going to be able to get there for a physical viewing it. They might be doing a virtual viewing as well. So we really need to be showcasing it and having it ideal. And then the next part of that then becomes your online visibility. Check major portals. I was just speaking to this about a client this morning. Not only do we obviously do your Rightmove and your Zoopla, but then we obviously do S1 Homes, because obviously it's linked, if it's a Glasgow-based buyer and it's linked to the Herald, and obviously what that then attracts coming to the Fife area. Quiz the agent on that. What portals are they on? Why are they on those portals? And actually how they use their website as well as their social channels to promote the listings.
Social channels is everything, isn't it?
Mhm.
And it just says itself. I mean, people do business with other people, and social is what it's all about when it comes down to it. You don't really get the same interaction for a property that you would do on a social channel as opposed to a website channel. I think possibly the days of the websites, if they don't adapt, like Rightmove and Zoopla, the days are numbered where Facebook will end up taking over, and YouTube as well. I mean, look at YouTube. YouTube's the biggest television channel in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
While BBC and STV were fighting it out for the ratings, YouTube ate their lunch when they weren't looking. And now they're the most dominant player in the TV industry because they're online now, and there's so much content on there that you can go to all the time. I mean, I use YouTube all the time for finding out everything now.
Mhm.
It's an easy way to get access to it. So there's no surprise when I tell people that over 1,000 hours a month are actually viewed of our content on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and over 23,000 views every single month. And that's just YouTube. That would never have been heard of before for an estate agent. And I think a lot of estate agents actually don't have that at all. So that's an interesting one for somebody, it's potentially what you're going to do about marketing for a potential seller to ask and then say, well, so what's your YouTube channel like? What do you get from there? I think a lot of them will just sit baffled. They'll not even understand what the customer's asking them. What do you mean YouTube? For what?
Yeah.
For what reason? 23,000 views a month. That's the reason. It's a potential buyer to my property. It would otherwise not see it because YouTube recommends. So does social media. That's what I like about social media as well. The social media actually organically recommends sometimes. And if you do a proper retargeting strategy as well and put a bit of money behind it, you can actually target specific groups of people who are actually attuned to that type of property that you're actually selling right now. And they don't even know they're doing it because the social media is actually collecting all the data, because that's what you give up when you start to use it for free. And they're collecting all that data. So when you type into WhatsApp and you type into Messenger, you're thinking about selling or buying a property, they immediately pick up on that data, 50,000 data points, and then they actually collect that and collate that and allow adverts to be targeted back in front of them, which will suit that. So no surprise if we put money behind a campaign and an advert, that goes right to that person. And they get the opportunity to see that property. Once they click on it, they're through to our website, and then they get retargeted again when they hit our website. So it's a huge opportunity for digital marketing strategies to be able to keep influencing. Because at the end of the day, this is just an influence. It's a sales funnel influencer. That's all it's doing. Getting back in front of that person in various different guises in order to influence them to possibly, this could be the property for you. I've even heard people say to me when they've seen stuff like that, it says, I just thought it had to be done. It was like the, I don't know if you call it the hand of God or whatever it was. And it's like, no, it's just clever retargeting strategy. That's it. It's just ads. We're just making sure we get the right data from all the social media channels, and we're able to target you back. It was meant to be. I've heard that said as well. This was meant to be. And I'm like, no, it's just clever retargeting strategy, really. So that's really good from the point of view for the online visibility. How can people then add that probably extra shine to their property to make it pop and when somebody comes round.
Well, as I mentioned, there was that listing that I was looking at that was beautiful location, setting, scenery, but the photographs just didn't do it justice. There was really nothing to highlight that. So if you do have land, if you do have stunning views, for example, or if even the exterior of the property has got ornate features, or it's, you know, there's something special about it, why are we not capturing that? Why are we not showcasing that? So ask the agent as well, what photography are they going to do and how are they going to make it stand out? Are they going to do the aerial photography? Are they going to do kind of wide pan? Are they also going to do a location tour? Are they going to do obviously the drone footage? What are they going to do to make your property stand out and also highlight where it's situated? That's a key to selling point. So why would we not show it?
Are they going to ensure that somebody actually knows where your property is on the drone footage? That's a good one. Because it's not about you guys. It's like every time I look at a drone, and obviously not from us because we pinpoint, then you kind of think to yourself, yeah, it looks fantastic, but where is the property in relation to this? Where is it? I can't see it. It's no tagged or anything. So that's the difficulty.
It's a really good point. And actually what Sophie was saying about the photographs, I was looking at one earlier on today because I was guiding a client on something, and I went online because I knew a similar thing had come up on the market recently. And they had the aerial photograph. It was in a country location. There was about 4 other houses around about it who all had large pieces of land. And when you saw it from the aerial photograph, there was no markings of the actual property that was being sold. So when I'm looking at it, I couldn't see actually what it was that I was buying potentially because it wasn't outlined. So where was the borders of the property? So they're a great idea, but they have to be utilized correctly.
I think that's a big mistake by the agents in order to not highlight that, because it does look confusing. And I think it's something that's often overlooked by a seller because they know exactly what they're looking at when they look at the drone footage. So they don't need digital marketers because they look at it and go, oh, that looks wonderful. That's the first time I've seen my house ever like that from that angle. And it just it engulfs them, you know, with that, oh wow, that looks great. I've never seen my house like this before. And that's the euphoria it takes them forward to basically say, yeah, I made the right decision. And I'm like, well, possibly. Maybe if you walk that back and think to yourself, how's your buyer going to understand that video? How are they going to understand that drone footage or that photograph? How are they going to know where it is in relation to everything? Is the land actually sectioned out? Does it say it? Or what is everything round about it as well? You know, what's that big tower over there in the drone footage? What is that in relation to everything? I mean, that could be a significant point of interest, and yet it's not pointed out. How far is it from all the different amenities potentially? Where's the local school? Is that pointed out in the drone footage? So these are all tags digital markers you probably need to do in drone footage in order for the buyer to understand from further afield, because they don't live where you live. They don't understand what you've got. And it's a digital marketer's job to get that message across in the most efficient and timely manner possible, to make it really easy for a buyer to make a decision to come and view your property. Remember, they're not making a decision to buy it yet. It's just getting them through the door, and then you get them to the next stage after the qualification process when they inquire.
Yeah.
So blogging, brilliance. We'd kind of talked about that and the regular updates and highly informative and well-written blog shows that the agent. That's another one to watch out for, isn't it? When you're actually testing and when you're looking out for an agent, it's like how much information do they relay? How much content do they put online? What information are they putting out there? Do they show their expertise? Do they demonstrate any level of expertise, or are they just a box shifter? In short, really, if an agent's marketing makes you ultimately drool at their listings, and imagine what it can do for your home, if that's the case, you know. So it's a classic example. If you look at what they've got, not on your house, but on any house, that's the important thing. When you're looking for an agent, go onto their website and look at other listings of other properties there. And if it's clearly an explanation about what that property is and what you'll give to you, and you're like, wow, I would want to live there, then that's probably going to be the agent for you. That'll demonstrate clearly the digital marketing. Whereas if you look at your own stuff, it's like it's tainted because you know exactly what you're looking at anyway. and you know what you would get in the area, whereas a buyer doesn't know that at all. So that's really a good benchmark, I would say, to do that. Test another agent's website, see what it is for you, look at the other properties they've got, and then that's another gauge of whether they're actually really magic or mediocre at marketing. Perry, let's come back to you and talk about this. About the keeping you in the loop. How important is this? Is it just like, well, I tell you what, we'll just phone you when we've sold it?
It's vital to keep you in the loop. I think that the seller is putting their most expensive asset in your hands if you're the chosen agent. So they really want to be feeling that they're getting that love and attention from you. They don't care that you maybe have 40 or 50, 60 other houses that you're currently selling. They've employed you to sell theirs, and what are you going to do about it, and how are you going to interact with them? So given that you'll be speaking to your agent for a good few months, actually, once you decide to choose them and list your property. So from initial meetings to photographs to marketing to getting on websites to the viewers to the offers to the conveyancing, there's so much goes into that. You'll be interacting with them for quite some time. So it really is important that you have that relationship with them until the finally moving out point. It's vital that you also feel that they're looking after you. You've got that warm embrace from them. And they weren't just chasing the board, as we spoke about earlier, as Craig rightly pointed out, and that they were actually like giving you that attention, and that they feel that they've basically been placed in a good pair of hands, and that's what you want them to feel. But as well as that, you also want your agent to be responsive. You want them to be open, and you want them also to be keeping you informed, as you said, Jim. You don't want them just to be sticking the board up and then, hiya, is it sold yet? So keeping you informed every step of the way is really important. A good agent will give you concrete promise over the services you can expect around the selling of your property, and you should be expecting, and they should be delivering on that. And if they don't deliver on that, then you should be challenging on it. And so when we talk about responsiveness, how soon do they commit to replying to you? Are they if you message them, are they coming back to you instantly? 10 minutes, an hour, 3 days, 2 weeks? It's really important for you to know that. Nobody's on call 24 hours a day, but your agent should be readily available to address your concerns.
Definitely.
We talk about the digital marketing side of it, and again, it's about how are you interacting and what is that response going to come like? Are they just going to be keyboard warriors and emailing you every 5 minutes? And do you want to just be receiving an email, or are they going to be WhatsApping and texting and sending you video calls and really interacting, so you feel that you've not lost it and you're dealing with just words? You've still got that connection with people. And they should feel like that, not just with you as the person who was out there initially. They should feel that from all of the team. And that's a specialty, I think, that, as you said, Jim, a boutique agent has, because they've got that time and commitment to give to their clients. So make sure that, they are available and understand how they're going to communicate with you. Your feedback, I mean, it has to be honest. It has to be constructive. So again, the integrity we talked about earlier on of your agent. So what is their integrity like? And is what they're saying actually the case to you? That's really important, that you trust what they're advising and guiding you on. Are they giving you constructive feedback as well when viewings have taken place? Or are they just saying, nah, it's not for them? Why is it not for them? And are they understanding that and really figuring out perhaps maybe tweaks that we need to do along the way, or maybe a remarketing strategy, or whatever needs to be happening? But you won't get that if you don't get honest, constructive feedback. You want to get regular market updates as well from them. So if your house is on the market, what else is selling in the area? How quickly is it happening? Are you in line with that? And are they managing your expectations for your property sale? I think that's really important as well. I think you want to make sure that the momentum is maintained. We know what it's like as a team. A property gets listed on day one, and most of the activity will happen on that first week of a property being listed. But it's like once that first week's gone and that momentum of the first launch has happened, what are they doing afterwards? So it's keeping that momentum going. And do you have confidence in that agent that they're going to do that for you and be creative?
That's why having a retargeting strategy is probably the most important thing to do, is actually put a proper campaign behind it and actually still get it pushed out to the right people, because buyers in Fife make a decision every single day. I mean, I think it's something like 20 buyers in Fife and sellers in Fife make a decision every day to buy and sell a house in the Fife area. So it will change your perpetual audience. And you've got 2 months worth of stock on the market just now in Fife in total. There's about over 1,000 properties, and there's about 500 sold every month. So you've got 2 months worth of stock. So in average terms, every 2 months, the buyer audience is completely changed. as to where it was the 2 months before.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always that new rejuvenation, and it's you're right. It's just getting it back in front of the right people. How important is though that the seller actually listens to you? I mean, is that really important? That's one of the questions I would ask, because I've had it sometimes. You know, the experience I've had over the years. I mean, I've been doing this for over 20 years now. Experiences sometimes, no matter how much you tell someone as a seller what they need to do in order to get that job done, sometimes they just don't. They don't listen to you, even though you're thinking, wait a minute, this is what we discussed in the first place.
It's true.
And you went, yes. And all of a sudden, it's like you're going, no now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think absolutely it is imperative that you've got that guidance and that trusted relationship with them. But actually, sometimes a seller can go down that road because they feel that they've been forgotten about and they've been left in the dark a little bit because you haven't been communicating with them. So as long as you are communicating, you should be able to guide them. And that guidance could be about handling the offers. It could be navigating the survey at the beginning. It could be what is the great guide that we're going to give them in regards to what steps we're going to take every day. Are we going to be clear with them? Are we going to use lots of jargon that actually they think, well, I don't actually even know what it is that you're telling me because that's not words that I understand. And we've been in that situation ourselves when you go into a certain situation and people, and Craig, you'll feel that way, having recently come into the industry, you get certain statements and you go, I have no idea what that means. Say that in English, please. And so
kind of like, it's just like HMRC.
Yeah.
It's just like HMRC. I'm like that just now with them. It's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
And it's so easy to do. And you have situations as well. We have to remember as well, the seller's in a heightened state at the moment as well, because they're anxious about what they're doing and why they're doing it. So they're wanting to be able to trust us. And if we're not speaking in a way that they understand, then that can become really challenging for them as well. And that's why sometimes actually they may think you've said one thing when actually you meant something else.
You think a lot of sellers get themselves worked up about nothing?
I don't think that, well, yes and no, actually, I would say to that, because actually they may not have sold a house for 30 years. So they don't know what they're doing. So actually they are worked up and they are high and it's quite intense.
It's stress.
There could be a lot of emotion attached to it as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's circumstances why people move. Somebody's maybe deceased. It's maybe been a marital split. The kids have maybe all left home and mum doesn't want that to have happened. And so there's lots of different things. So they're all in a heightened state as it is anyway. And also, if you think about it, you love your home and you see it the way you see it. And all these strangers suddenly are coming into your environment and guiding you on what you should and shouldn't be doing. And it's like your prized possession, isn't it? So I think they are heightened.
And then there's the classic one as well. It's like, I've got 30 years worth of clutter. I've accumulated to get rid of. It's like, what am I going to do with that? I could answer that question straight away for a lot of people. You don't need to get rid of your clutter straight away, remember, because your house isn't even sold yet. It's only just going in the market. So you can decant it over a certain period or over a period of time. But once you get an offer, then there's another 3 months probably in conveyancing to get done, or 2 or 3 months after that as well. And as we know, we did a show the other day about this, and with the fact that on average it takes round about between 5 and 6 months on average from the start of saying, let's sell my house, to the end of saying, that's it sold, keys handed over, money exchanged. That's what people forget. They immediately think they've got to deal with everything all at once at the same time, and I think that's what causes the stress. Yeah,
and I think when we're talking about the guidance, though, it's really important on that, when we not to use the jargon, but also actually sometimes you need to have that difficult conversation with the seller as well, and sometimes that's quite difficult to deliver. It's quite difficult for them to hear because they have a view of their house, and there might be certain things that need to be done that they might not have contemplated. So you have to have that realistic discussion with them. And I think that if you start on that honest footing at the beginning, then the journey should be quite smooth. But I think, as you say, Jim, when your question there about do people listen, do they understand it, or do they go off on their own tangent? Sometimes they will go in their tangent because actually you've not been clear with them to begin with either. So there's no real line in the expectation. I think that's really important.
This is probably about getting the guidelines down in the first place and getting some sort of written confirmation of the service standards that they are actually going to give you in the first instance. I mean, for the reviewing process, just in case there's any ambiguity. It's kind of like when you go into a contract or you don't do a contract, you think, I'll just trust that person. And the next minute it turns around, it all goes pear-shaped and they've completely changed their mind about what they want to do. And it's like, what happened there? but you've got no reference point about what you agreed in the first place because nothing's written down. So I think it's important then, possible, to get your agent, the potential agents, to actually email you some sort of indication about what they're going to be doing for what their what their fees are in the first place. I think that's really priceless in the whole thing. And also the fact is that agent really going to go out their way to more or less treat you like their only client? And for me, I remember sometimes it was like sleepless nights, and I'm thinking, God, the house isn't sold yet, the house isn't sold yet. And then somebody would come up and say, right, that's the house sold now. And I'm like, geez, that took forever. And they went, yeah, it was only sold in 5 days. It's like, what? It's like, I thought that was 5 months in my mind. It was like, I must have been cat ears or something like that. Because it's like, that felt like 5 months to me. And you tell me it's 5 days it took to sell that house. It's like, oh my God, I just must have thought about it continuously all the time. So that's the sort of things I would say. And I think that's kind of how your agent should treat you. But again, if you just want bargain basement box shifter and the cheapest price possible, there are other alternatives. There's online agents, there's cheapest chips agents, and I think really you'll probably just get what you pay for. The one thing I want to talk about last of all, just before we finish off here, is probably the small print or the simple stuff. If you really want to sell for the highest price and receive that, maybe a first class service, it's unlikely to come from the weakest marketing and possibly the cheapest fee, as I've said. What you're looking for is the best all-round offer, I would say. Part of that is checking the small print to understand every agent's fees, their terms, their service, and so you can make a well-informed commitment. It's better to be a bit fussy now than actually get caught out later on, as I said before. It's like, make sure you've got something down in writing, so at least you know where you stand. When there's a kind of bit of a miscommunication between parties, it's like, well, mate, you said one thing. Now, they've not gone out their way to do this, by the way. This is just what happens, because what you interpret and what they interpret out the same situation are maybe two different things entirely. So this is why it's important just to make sure you have that. I mean, it's all part of checking the small print to understand, as I said before. So getting the total transparency in this is quite important. So ask for a clear breakdown of fees, including the VAT, so you know exactly what you're paying. All costs should be clearly set out before you sign on the dotted line, I would say. Fair contracts. Avoid lengthy agency agreements that lock you in for months on end. You do get people that say you're locked in for the next 6 months and you can't go anywhere else, and that's you stuck where you are, irrespective if you want to change or not. So that leaves you kind of wide open to, dare I say, abuse in terms of the way that happens. And feel free to challenge any conditions that you're actually happy with. That's quite important. Remember, it's a contract. It's a negotiation in the beginning for what you want. Make sure there's a get out clause, definitely, at some point in time. Sometimes things don't work out. It's very, very rare this will happen, by the way. Very, very rare with any estate agent. But you do need to have some sort of get out clause. I was going to say get out of jail card. I keep thinking of Monopoly. That's what I always think about. I always refer to Monopoly like a get out of jail card. It's like, yeah, I've got to give me a get out of jail card. So get out clause, definitely. Sometimes things don't work out, and if you've ever needed to change estate agents, a notice period of probably about 2 weeks or 4 weeks is probably most acceptable, I would say. And just make sure that you get a note of all the buyers that they possibly introduced to your house, because you could end up being liable for 2 fees in that, because then it could be the same buyer you've just introduced them to, and they've introduced to you, and then the next minute they go and buy it, and then the next agent goes, by the way, we're going to charge you because they bought it, and it's like, well, wait a minute, the other agent goes, but we've actually introduced them. So watch out for that. That can actually happen. It has happened in the past, only a few times where people have actually done that, definitely. But it's very, very rare that happens. So again, I'm telling you what to watch out for, but don't put too much onus on this. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. It's all about probably reputation. It's all about reputation. It's all about the person, the other people you know will endorse as a result, and that's probably the person that you would probably use. But then again, if they're endorsing them, ask them why they're endorsing them. No, just because they like them. It's like, you're wanting somebody that's going to just, you know, because I like them. Oh yeah, they're great, and I love, you know, they're a great person and all the rest of it. That doesn't mean to say they're going to be great at negotiating your offer, and great at getting you the right deal, and great at negotiating with a buyer, and great at marketing, and great at doing walkthroughs and all the rest of it. That doesn't mean to say anything like that at all. That doesn't mean to say they're going to be on the phone, or they're going to be able to message you, or you'll be able to message them at in awkward hours, especially at weekends, which is classic for solicitors to send out letters for conveyancing and say, by the way, possibly your sale's fallen through. They don't phone them, they just send it in a letter, and the next minute they panic. What are we going to do now? It's like, if you've not got an agent, you can't message, you can't phone at the weekend, because most are shut, in all honesty. Can't afford to keep open at weekends. It's a prohibitive amount of money for some small areas, and very few people walk in your door nowadays, and everything's basically done on here. Messaging, WhatsApp, mobile phone, text, all the rest of it, emails. That's all done. It's all accessible on your phones. So that's how most business is done nowadays. You don't physically need to have somebody with an office, I would say. So the best agents understand that sellers only switch when things aren't going well. So they avoid using the small print to create delays or make it harder for the clients to move forward, I would say. Maybe it's time to start planning your move. Thank you very much for coming on the show, guys. That's us done now. I'm going to ask you one at a time. Sophie, the one thing that you would advise people about this, about picking the best agent, how to cut through the sales pitch and find the perfect match, the one thing you would advise that your takeaway from this show?
Interview your agent, have questions ready and ask all your questions, and don't think that, oh, I can't ask them that, is that cheeky? Oh, should I really ask the questions? That's what we're there for. It's your dedicated time. As Perry said, it's your biggest asset, so you want to get all the facts. Yeah. Quiz your agent.
What if some people are a bit nervous about asking these questions? You know, because there is people, it's like, they're non-confrontational. So, and it could feel like a confrontation. How would you go about doing that? If you were going to ask somebody a question then, or if you're going to put them on the spot if you were interviewing them?
Just simply say to them, can I ask you a few questions? Yes, of course. And hopefully by that time they've been in, you've done a walkthrough of the property, you've already started to build that relationship. So hopefully by that point, you're also feeling comfortable, but just ask the questions. We're not going to get offended. Trust me, we'll have definitely heard worse. So we're not going to get offended. Please just ask the questions, because that is your dedicated time. And by that point, we'll have built up a relationship anyway. Or even if you don't feel comfortable asking them at that time, we're going to continue the relationship on anyway afterwards. We're going to touch base. We're going to speak afterwards. So even if you want to go away, gather your thoughts, write them down. We can then schedule another meeting or a phone call or a video call if that's how you would prefer to do follow-up questions.
And it's good from the point of view that any agent worth their salt would actually turn around and think questions is a good thing. Mm-hmm. It means you're actually probably want to do business, and you're just going through the fine print, so you know exactly where you stand in order to make that decision to go ahead with that agent.
Absolutely.
So don't feel it's confrontational, I would say. So good point. Absolutely fantastic for coming up. What about you, Craig? So what's the one takeaway from here you would suggest?
Yeah, so a great point there from Sophie, but I think it's not just back up the pricing, but how are you going to get that price for me? What are you going to do to get me that best price? What's really going to set you aside from other agents to put you at the forefront with my property? Demonstrate properties in the area that they've sold. Your agent's already sold where they've gotten over and above the home report. Really kind of push that into a corner to make sure that's the number one thing that you're working towards, not just the price, but how they're going to get the best price. Great point from Sophie in terms of if you're not so confident or don't want to be confrontational, send a follow-up email. Ask them to reply with a video. So send an email of questions that you've got and ask them to follow up with a video explaining everything that they've gone through to kind of reinforce that point. So yeah, great one there. Marketing being crucial, but how are they going to get that best price?
Good stuff. Perry, what about yourself?
For me, it's the interaction the moment that you arrive at the property. Has the agent taken interest in your journey? Are they understanding why they're there and what you're trying to achieve? And if the agent is interested in what you're trying to achieve, there's a good chance that they're going to answer all your questions anyway, and they'll naturally come to you because they've shown that interest and they want to be part of that journey. It is a journey that we're going to be on together for months, but it has to start in that first moment as well. So make sure they do understand your journey and get confidence from them that they can deliver on what it is you're looking to achieve.
Perfect. Good answer. Thanks very much for coming on, guys. Really appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you next weekend. We'll be doing a letting show. It's bye-bye from us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good